It can lay claim to be the most multicultural place in the world. Every day in London, nearly 8 million people wake up and go to work. Almost a third of them are not British. Today, its population drawn from every race, nation and religion on earth, and keeps growing. Immigration is no doubt at the heart of our culture, and many say it's good for the economy as well. However, others disagree. They say for too long, too many non-Europeans have been exploiting the easiest routes of entry to the UK.
Every year, tens of thousands of people marry into Britain or join their families here. Now, many of these are genuine, loving relationships, but we also know there are abuses to the system. For a start, there are forced...
I took my flight in Rio. My flight was a connection flight, Rio, New York, New York, London. I remember from Rio to New York crying. I remember I was crying at the time. And I arrived here on March 1999.
Dee landed in the UK as a student. He did an English course first, then a professional one, but he wasn't very much happy about them. Every year he needed to apply for a visa extension and pay quite a lot of money for it, until he found the way to get to stay in the country. A wife with a European passport.
My wedding day.
It was the day he paid his wife the first installment of the deal. He says it was a little bit sad for him, because people are supposed to get married for real, for love, he says.
Married like that, I would like to have my family with me at my wedding day, and the day of my wedding I gave my wife £2,000.
Putting his signature in the marriage register, Dee gained the right to stay in the country for at least 5 years. No more visa extension to apply for. Since his wife didn't want to speak as she was afraid she would get in trouble with the Home Office, Dee decided to introduce me to a friend, G. They knew each other in the Italian restaurant where they both were working as waiters. It was their first job when they arrived in London. G comes from a small city close to Lisbon. He decided to leave when he discovered his sexuality and when his family started to push him to settle down with a girl and make a family. Beside the freedom he was looking for, London eventually brought him a Brazilian wife. His family would be proud of him, even though they don't know anything about his wedding and that he didn't do it for love.
No, we never lived together. I was living a completely different lifestyle. I had a boyfriend those days. I was gay. I was and I am, thank God. And
Actually, officially they were living under the same roof, and G kept photographs and few personal things of his wife in case someone from the Home Office knocked at the door and searched the house.
I had a few bags of work clothes and toothpaste and all this, like pretending basically she was living there, yeah? But nobody ever came, nobody ever interviewed, nothing ever, other kind of other thing happened.
G and his wife stayed married for 7 years. Then they got divorced. Looking at the news from the past months, it seems that bogus weddings are becoming an issue in the Anglican dioceses too. Last September, the Reverend Alex Brown was jailed for 4 years for marrying hundreds of illegal immigrants. He exploited what many call a fairly easy loophole. The government has called for the Church of England to wake up to the problem. This has led to the issue of new guidelines in the attempt to help stop vicars being conned. But Alan Green, Church of England minister in Tamar Hamlets, says there's nothing really new from what the clergy already know, and thinks the media are playing a key role on the whole issue.
We see the way in which government is influenced and to some degree in the pockets of the newspapers. There is a difference between investigative journalism that uncovers unfortunate reality and the creation of myths and of falsehoods. And I think that the demonisation of immigrants in this country has been one of those.
Following some figures given last November by the Immigration Minister Damian Green about the sham marriages identified in the last years, there has been a flurry of articles in the media reporting the recent rise in their numbers. None of them, though, seemed to get it totally right. Although nobody would deny that sham marriages do take place, some experts say that the media tend to overhype their incidents and perhaps give a rather sensationalist picture of what's really happening.
I mean, the first thing to say that these are suspected sham marriages, and therefore we don't know how many of those turn out actually to be sham marriages when investigated. I am also aware that in the past, when numbers of suspected false marriages have risen, they have not resulted in large numbers of prosecutions.
Minister Green himself clarifies that the UK border agency does not hold records of the number of sham marriages identified, and in addition stresses the fact that the increase of reports by the registers reflects the raised awareness among them rather than a rise in the number of sham marriages, which basically means the more you talk about it, the more reports you'll get. Brent is the most diverse borough in the UK. Mixed marriages are very common here. It is one of those councils that have seen a surge in reports of suspected sham marriages over the past few years.
I think the public have no idea what the scale of the problem is.
Mark Rimmer, head registrar of Brent Council, has got a definite view about the issue. Although he admits that all a registrar can do is to flag up suspicious to the Home Office, he has no doubt.
So I think all of the reports that are made by registration officers would undoubtedly turn out to be a sham marriage. I would personally, of all those I report, I would personally stake my month's salary on the fact that every one of those I report is a sham.
Last year, register officers reported 934 suspicious bogus weddings. According to the UK Border Agency, in the last half of 2010, there were 155 arrests involved in this particular crime. Perhaps Mr. Rimmer could be very good at spotting a fake couple, but he is certainly not a gambling man. This is the last question. Would you do it again?
I think so. I will do it again, and yeah, I think so.